Artificial intelligence, chat GPT, machine learning. These are a few words which we hear in our everyday life. To increase your knowledge on this topic, in this part, we have spoke and discussed about them. We welcome you to the third part of this episode with Mr. Adarsh. This would be our last part, and in this part, we have talked deeply and we have also conversed that what is the future of artificial intelligence. So, what do you think that you are making yourself a product in virtual reality? Yeah, and the Facebook, the top companies are also in this race. Right now, we are also recently we are seeing that okay, there is Chat GPT. Again, they are launching GPT-4. Again, Google is also investing more money.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about that? Will artificial intelligence metaverse actually take over the real human emotions, or what will happen? What is your perspective?
So I think I'll have to take you back to my good old days, right? 2018-19. So even then, we sort of, because I was in game development, my 24/7 entertainment or engagement would be watching videos in tech or just understanding where the industry is headed. Because convincing at that point, convincing your parents to say, no, I'm not going to get a job in Microsoft, Google, forget that. I'm going to work in a game studio. Is hard, right? So to be able to convince them, you need to understand how the industry is going. So that's how the industry watch journey started. So I went very deep down in that rabbit hole, and I already saw that by that stage, Apple had patented their VR technology. I knew that something was going to happen, and even otherwise, even with just game development, I knew like this industry would boom in the future. There'd be a curve. Even before early adopters is what I'd realized. So that's one of the reasons I stuck with it. So while that was happening in 2020, I did tell you about how the idea for Halera came up, right? Meanwhile, I was also looking into things like this, where is the industry headed and whatnot. Because I was doing that constantly, I had an insight that yes, VR is coming huge. So based on my constant discussions and viewing into the future, my belief was and is that AR would be your not replacement, would be an addition or like your smartphones, while your VR would be sort of like your computers and tablets, um, because of the level of immersion that it brings. Right. This is because AR. Even though you're in a class, you're in a talk, I can just use my phone and still listen and do whatnot, right? Though disrespectful, that's possible. But on the other hand, that's exactly what you can do with AR. You don't have to hold something up. You still see everything. It's just augmented to your reality. While virtual reality is a headset that you have to put on, it's something that takes you to a whole another place. So let's say I'm eating. I need to eat now. I can't just eat while having it on, right? I can't really see. I'll have to take it off and use. So that's, in my opinion, similar to how computers and laptops work. So you have to stop work, or you can just switch to watching a movie or whatnot. Passive enjoyment. So that's my belief then. And that's one of the reasons that I started the company, and that's the reason for this vision right here, right? When the wave does come, we have to be the one surfing it. We can't be swept up underneath it. And that's the reason I started it way back in 2020. So even though Halera is the idea that started it, I knew that VR is going to be serious and all of these things had to happen. And so by the time, let's say the wave came, so 2023, 2024, we can very well see a start of the mass adoption. So by that time, to have some solid footing, you'll have to establish yourself in the market. So our path was to start with something B2B, and then eventually foray into the D2C market, build either software or hardware, but make a presence that everyone can see. So that's the idea there. And so we have been trying to be future proof, skilling up everyone in the team, everyone who comes in, goes out, stays. Everyone gets an understanding of how game development, how the industry works, how businesses work, what are the soft skills that are required to go out and whatnot, right? And as far as AI is concerned, sure, it is here. But even today morning, I was thinking about it, right? Uh, right now, the memes are about, I mean, coder memes, half of them are about project managers and leaves and whatnot. But the other half's about how the job's basically just Googling. 3 4 years down the line, that's what the memes will be about, just AI. People who know how to search GPT or Bing chat. So that's how essential it will become in life, right? People who know how to use calculators are better than the ones that are writing in notebooks. People who are able to know how to Google stuff are better than the ones that don't. So the people who know how to Google but also know the deeper understanding will always be better than the ones that are just Googling. They'll always need to use Google or have to have that in their system. So skill up, but also understand how all these work so you can have an edge. So that's what we are also doing as a company.
Yeah. So this is my opinion on this, that
Please.
ChatGPT AI is emerging. It's a advancement in technology. It's important to advance, but also people right now, young people, are using it for small things to make them do their homework. Yeah, I think that these things are really destroying the creativity, because let's say my own sister, if she is to a competition to make the Diwali card in the school, what will she do is just Google it. There are templates available, she will just copy one of them. But what I say is that, okay, just set aside devices for just 15 minutes. Can you just think of your own design? Just use your own brain. Maybe Googling is good, but also overusing it can destroy the basic creativity which we have. What differentiates us from others, right? Like you make them do the homework. You also make ChatGPT write an essay for you. Just do it your own. Then you will just have that creativity ongoing within you.
That is very right. See, I think that's just something that will happen, is happening, was happening as well, right? So people who were spending time in the library were always skeptic or were always critical of the people who were sitting in their rooms Googling stuff, right? So if you replace, I mean, I think even you had a slip of words by saying instead of searching it on ChatGPT, I think you said Googling it. That's how common it will become. So people who are able to take that as inspiration and include their own creativity will have an edge. So AI at this point, it's a smart summarizer, if you ask me. It's just, its data set is maybe all the books and all the data on the internet, but that's what Google also used to do. So Bing did a very good job by making it as Bing Chat instead of something bigger. So that's how it will be, or maybe a little bit more integral to day-to-day life. But at the end of the day, it's just another tool. So the same debate as hey, you're just searching on Google for Instagram captions will happen with ChatGPT also, because GPT is just remixing all of this for you. So if you don't use it, it's your creativity. I completely agree with you. So if in case creativity comes into question, if that needs to be developed, you have to spend time alone. You have to understand what's out there to remix it on your own, to make it your own. But people who always will do that will exist again, right?
So again, moving apart from the tech side to the business side.
But excuse me. So before that, I want to understand what people who are in college are focusing on, right? Do you understand on? Are you guys trying to understand how AI works or how to use AI?
So most people are right now not focusing on how AI works. They are just focusing, okay, how do I use it? Because at least I see people around me using artificial intelligence, Google, for really small things. Like so doing small things, like they don't want to understand, okay, how does it work? There are passionate 1% who always look for it, but the rest 99% are the consumers. They are not the producers for it.
So I'll rephrase, right? So apart from those who use smaller for smaller use cases, right? I'm getting a little bit more specific. As engineers here in VIT, for example. So are you guys trying to learn how ML and AI work, or how to do, let's say, things like prompt engineering, for example? So now the skill has become how to make the AI generate things that we want, right? So our skills towards that way or this way, I think both are of their own importances, but I want to understand.
So I think that it's more on the adaptation of AI, that we are focusing, okay, artificial intelligence is existing. There are the huge companies which are producing the versions of it. GPT-4 came out, and we are focusing, okay, using artificial intelligence, and how can we innovate better, like adding our own taste. Maybe we could just develop a product and add artificial intelligence to it. The more focus is on that side, because AI, how does AI works, how can we improve, is the portion of people who are trying to learn that is really small. Majority of is how do I adapt to it, how do I take the technology and also add my taste, maybe develop a new product, maybe use it for my own case, like
Right.
what are the more use cases of it. That's the view I think it's coming.
That is interesting to know. That sort of shows a trend in how people are starting to think, right? Again, Kunal Shah in a few interviews was also saying that curiosity in people's mind has started to erode because everything is presented on a silver platter to them, or black mirror in front of them. Curiosity has started to erode. Trying to understand how things are made, how things work, than I mean, now things are more of what and why. I mean, I think why is also curiosity question. It's more of how do I make use of it? How do I gain advantage of it than getting deeper. Um so I think that's where people like Elon Musk have the advantage, because they go to first principles, ask basic questions, try to understand why some things works, why some things don't, and try to make it more efficient. Those people will have an advantage.
Yeah, I think adapting to one technology also is a great skill, like, because
It's a skill.
everything is, but anyways, it's inspired.
Yeah, yeah.
Everything is copied from one
Yeah.
or other. So I think people are just adding artificial intelligence to maybe their finance needs, maybe to their creative needs.
Yeah.
And I think that would
That
also
is
come.
good.
Yeah.
That is good actually.
And another question which I would like to know, that okay, once you have made the product, you are a tech guy, you are also figuring out the business side. And one thing which you said earlier was that the mission is to get the crazy geeks out of here and develop a company with them. How do you find them? How do you, like, once you, okay, it's very easy to post a LinkedIn job, maybe give internship mail, but once people have come to you, you are interviewing them. How do you find out the right guy for your company?
So the interview process or the selection process in our company is, I'm not sure how different from industry, but it's been standard in our thing, right? We do get responses throughout. I'll get to pre results, right? But after we do get results, first we just filter out people who aren't uh, qualifying the basic competence, and then with the rest, let's say out of 50 people, 20 30 people would have applied just for the sake of it, or with improper answers or impatience, right? So the ones that did take their time or do have basic competence to qualify will be in the next round is just me talking to them. If they feel like they have the skill, just the basic skill, or if they're really proficient. So I'm excluding the really proficient cases. So if they have the skill, I'll just go for it. I'll just say let's talk and see how it is. So I'll email 30-40 people. That's what I've been doing for every round. It's just labeled as interview day. So starting from 8 9 a.m. up until 8 9 p.m. right. I just talk with all these guys. Mostly to understand if they'd be compatible with what we have in mind, how things work, right? Is this person having something that they call the growth mindset, or if we do criticize, how is the person taking all of that aside? There's just that some spark that you find, right? At this point, it's become intuitive. Maybe the first two times I might have had an answer. Um, but maybe down the interview, if I do if it does cross me, I will let you know. But it's just some spark that you find, right? So mostly in the first one or two questions, I can decide if the person's ready or not, or if the person's a fit for the team or not. After that, I do give them a very small assignment to see if they can back their claims up. Okay, so it's guys that can make claims and can back it up. So people who a question that I always have, two questions is, first I would ask them what are the qualities that they think the job would require. They would talk about all the technical qualities are, which is basic stuff. Now people have, the last interview that I had for for designers, I saw 10 answers that were written from ChatGPT again. So those people straight reject, right? I think we did interview 3 of them because they did have an edge. So the last question being if they have a particular edge that they would have over others. So people would go in saying, I'm hardworking, I'm not sure if it's appropriate. One guy said, I'm the thirstiest people ever. He did go on to clarify saying, I'm thirsty to gain knowledge, experience, and all of these things. So you see all sorts of guys there. And so it's your job to see if they're able to back that claim up in the interview. So if they have the confidence, if they have the spark that, yes, they do have the curiosity and excitement to be able to work with us, be able to be part of something bigger, and the growth mindset and being able to take criticism and all of that.
So now, coming to the end of the podcast, there's this one question which I would like to ask you.
Hmm.
Apart from being a founder, apart from being a CEO of a company and all the qualifications you have, just others, right? I want to ask you as a person that running a company is not easy because you have people around you who are dependent on you now, right? If you are also going to hire someone in future, you have someone hired, their whole financial status is based on you. So how do you manage the low times, because it's not always high, sometimes it would be low, that you develop the prototype will fail, will get rejected by many people. How do you deal with the moments around this, like as a person, apart from being anyone, apart from being a founder? What's the personal answer to it?
I've been asked this by a few interns also. Sometimes when we've been hit hard or we've been criticized, right? The first few times, when I was still an intern, when I'd applied to some huge uh, competition or grant, I got selected to the second round. So full confidence, ego boost, right? I'm like, yeah, let's go for it. Into a Google Meet or some Zoom Meet with about 50 top people from India, got smacked right to the ground, right? So I couldn't do anything for the first 5 days. So um, it was, so I was still telling my a person that was helping my business then that, hey, I'm all right, everything's all right, I'll be all right. But it did take a toll on me. So I've gone on to realize that no, you do have to take a break now and then. If this, something like this happens, take a day, walk it off and come back. So that's exactly what I do these days. I do talk with loved ones and sort of take half a day off because work has to happen. But that does help. But mostly, right, when you're starting out from outside, like I'm going to change the world, I'm going to build the greatest company. Once you're in here, it's heartbreaking, right, to actually go through the process every day to see that work is happening, people are interested, most importantly, because if people aren't interested, if people aren't believing in what you're building or what you're selling outside, people just show it in multiple ways. First of which is leaving, which is painless, in fact. But staying and not contributing, or irregularity or toxicity in work culture, all of which I've seen is, to very less extent, luckily, thanks to my team, but it's been there, right? And so all of these do drag you down most of these days. And especially as a person that's just come out of college, seeing people again coming out of college flexing, right? It takes a huge toll. So that's most of the silence, right? So even now, if you after this meeting, I'll have to sit alone. I'll have to work for the rest of the day until interns do come at night. So 80-90% of it is still building in silence. It's still collaborating with people everywhere, but it's still you. So that feeling used to sink in a lot then. At this point, you just become numb. So we just got rejected 4 times last week in different places. I'm here, we're here, right? So that is just an acquired trait.
Yeah, so the thing is that maybe it's not always high. Sometimes you need to go low also. But the part is that keep going.
Yeah, yeah. See, so as I said, right, the highs are extremely high. So one of my interns just came in and even congratulations on visiting and collaborating with Microsoft on something. So highs are extremely high, right? But as I said, 90% of it is just uh, below average, right? You have to grind. So initially, when I started, I used to post stories and saying, I'm working, grinds on, and all of that. Uh, I've been silent. I used to be that one guy who used to be hyperactive. It's gone silent. So you do understand that this is what most of your work is, because if you put in this much only, you can get that, right? And as they say, right, it's very cliche to say that failure is just a stepping stone, but it's a step in the process. It is how you learn. There is no other way. So in class, you're provided this very safe net, you're provided this one framework, say you learn, you test, you pass through. But in real life, there is no teacher to guide you through those steps. You have to go down to say, okay, this is maybe not it happens, this is not how it happens. So you go into shoe store, you have to try on different shoes to find out your shoe, right? So if you say each of these shoes are my failures, you're gonna feel bad. But if you say the other ways, each of these failures are one of my tryouts, it's gonna feel a little different. So that's something that helped me. At this point, it's just a step in the process. Previously, without even realizing, last year around this time, I used to have heavy joint pain, job pain at a point. And then at one after sleeping, having a sleepover at my friend's place, the next morning, they were saying, like, why were you grinding your teeth throughout the night? Right. So I did talk to a few experts and realized that high anxiety attacks were happening throughout for a few months then. So I was extremely burnt out. So functioning in a startup, if you even ask Surya or anyone, right, it's beyond burnout where work happens. Even the CEO of Bombay Shave Company got into controversy for saying you have to put in 18 hours of work for promoting toxic culture. Sure, fine for a regular worker, but if you have to get to that 1%, you have to do that. You have to keep going.
So it's not like the people how they talk like the okay, you did a startup, then you will be billionaire in X years.
You
No,
could become a billionaire.
you could become, but also the people don't see is that okay, the $1 billion is glamour, but
Yeah.
the work behind it
It's
is
real.
not seen.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, even for a guy like Jeff Bezos, right? People call him this evil guy, but he's put in the work. He had to lose God knows how much, right? His health in the beginning stage, his friends, whatnot, right? But he's created value. You put in that work to create value, so you're rewarded based on how much value you create. So be it billionaire or whatnot, it's in figuring out how to provide the maximum value for your customers.
So it's the grind that goes on, and the tail events, the majority minor events that are shown out and which are glamorous.
Exactly. So for me, for example, that Microsoft thing wasn't really a big thing now, because our goals are much higher, our mission is much bigger. It's just again a step. So you get very numb, right? Uh, I did have something to say. All right, that's mostly it.
Yeah. So thank you for being on the show, and also thank you for giving out the time.
Yeah, no, that's all right.
We learned a lot from you.
I am very happy. See, so I was thinking you guys are first, second years who've done a few things like that, but it's really interesting to see bunch of first years having this knowledge to or this interest to do something, but taking the initiative and actually executing, right? Because again, about 99% of people keep talking, nobody executes. So it's nice to see that you guys have started something. That's exactly the case with startups also, right? 99% don't even start, but even the 1% that starts, out of that, 99% fail. So all the best for you guys to do well. Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks guys.
That's it for this part. With this episode, we end this series with Mr. Adarsh. We'll be back with a new episode with a new guest and new stories. Till then, make sure you follow us and subscribe to Launchcast.